Men over 60, listen carefully. What if I told you the single everyday habit you thought was harmless is quietly making your prostate grow, stealing your sleep, your energy, and your confidence? Most men blame aging. But the truth is, it's not age. It's the habits you've built over decades. And in the next few minutes, I'll count down the 10 most dangerous habits, with habit number 1 being the worst offender of all. Once you know these, you'll see exactly why your prostate acts up, and more importantly, how to take control, starting today. Habit number 10, cutting back on water. Let's begin with habit number 10, and it's one that almost every man over 60 has been guilty of at some point. You wake up 2, 3, even 4 times a night to use the bathroom. It's frustrating. It interrupts your sleep. And naturally, you start thinking, if I just drink less water, I'll wake up less. Seems logical, doesn't it? But here's the hidden danger: when you drastically cut back on water, you actually make your prostate symptoms worse. Here's why. When the body doesn't get enough fluid, your urine becomes darker, thicker, and far more concentrated. That concentrated urine is like a chemical irritant to the bladder. Instead of calming things down, it makes your bladder more sensitive, which then sends stronger and more frequent signals that you need to urinate, even if the bladder isn't full. In other words, drinking less water can ironically make you go to the bathroom more often, not less. And there's another layer most men don't realize. Chronic dehydration increases the risk of urinary tract infections, kidney strain, and irritability in the prostate region itself. In fact, a study conducted in Boston, Massachusetts in 2015 followed older men with lower urinary tract symptoms. Researchers found that those who consistently restricted their water intake reported worse nighttime urgency and poorer sleep compared to men who practiced steady balanced hydration. The science is crystal clear: cutting back on water isn't a solution, it's a trap. So what should you do instead? The key is hydration management, not hydration restriction. Think of it like this: your body still needs about 6 to 8 cups of water a day, but the timing matters. Spread your water intake evenly from morning through the afternoon, so your bladder stays calm and well flushed. Then, in the evening, about 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, slow down your fluid intake. This way you're not flooding your bladder at night, but you're also not living in a constant state of dehydration. It's balance, not punishment. Here's a practical example: start your morning with 1 or 2 glasses of water as soon as you wake up. Keep sipping steadily with meals and in between, but taper off as the evening approaches. And if you love tea or coffee, limit it after 4 p.m., because caffeine acts as a bladder stimulant. By following this rhythm, you'll protect your kidneys, keep your bladder calmer, and give your prostate a much easier time. Now here's the twist: if drinking less water was a bad idea, wait until you hear about the next habit. Because habit number 9 is something we all do without even thinking, but it silently squeezes your prostate and makes your nights far worse. And the worst part? You might be doing it right now while watching this video. Habit number 9, sitting too long. Habit number 9 may surprise you because it doesn't involve what you eat or drink, it's about how you spend your time. Sitting hours on the couch, behind a desk, or even in the driver's seat. At first glance, it looks harmless. After all, you're just resting, right? But here's the hidden truth: prolonged sitting creates a chain reaction inside your pelvis that directly affects your prostate. When you sit for extended stretches, the blood vessels and nerves in the lower pelvic region become compressed. Imagine pinching a garden hose: you cut off the steady flow of water. In your body, the same thing happens with circulation. Reduced blood flow means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching the prostate. Over time, this lack of movement encourages stiffness, swelling, and increased urinary urgency. This isn't speculation, it's backed by science. In Sydney, Australia 2017, researchers published findings showing that men who sat for more than 6 hours a day had a significantly higher risk of developing lower urinary tract symptoms, including those tied to prostate enlargement. Simply put, the chair you're glued to might be silently amplifying your nighttime bathroom trips. Now here's the empowering part: you don't need a gym membership or marathon training to counter this. Small adjustments make a massive difference. Stand up at least once every hour. Take a 5-minute stroll around the house or office. If you're watching TV, stretch your legs during commercials. Gentle activities like gardening, light housework, or walking the dog all get circulation moving again, and your prostate thrives when blood flow is healthy. Quick question for you: how many hours do you think you sit in a typical day? Be honest, and drop your answer in the comments. You might be surprised when you see it written down, and it could even inspire someone else watching to take action. So here's the bottom line: your chair may feel comfortable, but too much time in it creates an invisible weight pressing down on your prostate. Standing, walking, or stretching breaks that pressure and restores balance. And speaking of pressure, the next habit might shock you even more. It involves something millions of men consume every morning without thinking. But when it comes to prostate health, it acts like fuel on the fire. That's habit number 8, and trust me, you'll want to hear this one. Habit number 8, too much caffeine. Habit number 8 is one that slips into our daily routine so easily that most men never question it: caffeine. That morning coffee, the afternoon tea, or even those energy drinks you grab when fatigue hits. It feels harmless, even helpful. But for your prostate, caffeine is not your friend. Here's what happens inside the body. Caffeine is both a stimulant and a diuretic. It speeds up kidney activity, causing your body to produce more urine, even when you don't necessarily need it. At the same time, it irritates the bladder lining, making it more sensitive and reactive. For a man already dealing with an enlarged prostate, this combination is the perfect storm. You don't just urinate more, you feel the urge more, urgently and more frequently, especially at night. The science is clear on this. In Seoul, South Korea 2014, a study published in the International Neurourology Journal found that men who consumed higher amounts of caffeine were significantly more likely to experience overactive bladder symptoms, including urgency, frequency, and disrupted sleep. In simple terms, caffeine makes the bladder jumpy, and that jumpiness magnifies every symptom of prostate enlargement. So what's the smarter approach? It's not about total elimination, it's about timing and moderation. For example, enjoy your coffee in the morning when your body can process it while you're active. But after midday, switch to caffeine-free alternatives like herbal teas or simply water. This strategy keeps you alert during the day while reducing the nighttime disturbances that rob you of rest. And here's something few people realize: caffeine isn't only in coffee. It hides in chocolate, sodas, pain relievers, and even certain teas marketed as light. Being aware of those hidden sources can help you reduce intake without feeling deprived. The takeaway: caffeine may give you energy in the moment, but behind the scenes, it agitates your bladder and puts extra strain on your prostate. By cutting back, or at least cutting it off in the afternoon, you give your body the chance to settle down when it matters most. But caffeine is only part of the story. Because the next habit involves what's on your plate, not in your cup. And when it comes to irritating the prostate, few things are as powerful as what we'll cover in habit number 7. Habit number 7, processed and spicy foods. Habit number 7 hides in plain sight: what's on your plate. Processed meats, fried snacks, heavily seasoned takeout, and yes, even that extra spicy dinner you might crave. While these foods deliver flavor and convenience, for your prostate they act like sparks on dry grass, igniting irritation and inflammation that only makes symptoms worse. Here's why. Processed foods are typically loaded with preservatives, sodium, and unhealthy fats. These compounds stimulate low-grade inflammation throughout the body, including the delicate tissues surrounding the prostate and bladder. Spicy foods, on the other hand, contain compounds such as capsaicin, which can irritate the bladder lining and increase urinary frequency. If your prostate is already enlarged, adding these irritants is like pressing on the accelerator of discomfort. The evidence is striking. In Milan, Italy 2019, researchers analyzed dietary patterns in older men and discovered that those with diets rich in processed meats, refined carbohydrates, and spicy foods had a markedly higher rate of lower urinary tract symptoms compared to men who ate more vegetables, fish, and whole grains. The conclusion: food isn't just fuel, it can either soothe or provoke your prostate. So what can you do instead? It doesn't mean bland meals or giving up everything you enjoy. It's about choosing balance. Replace processed meats like sausages and bacon with leaner proteins such as fish or skinless poultry. Swap out highly spiced meals with milder seasonings. Herbs like rosemary, basil, or turmeric provide flavor while actually fighting inflammation. And make vegetables the centerpiece of your plate. Leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, and colorful peppers are rich in antioxidants that calm irritation rather than inflame it. Think of it this way: every bite is either feeding inflammation or fighting it. By tilting your diet toward whole unprocessed foods, you're not only protecting your heart and waistline, you're directly supporting your prostate's long-term health. But food choices are only part of the story. The next habit isn't about what you eat at all, it's about what you ignore. And habit number 6 is something so common that most men don't even notice they're doing it, until it builds up into a problem that strains the bladder and the prostate together. Habit number 6, holding your urine. Habit number 6 is one of those quiet mistakes that almost everyone makes, holding your urine for too long. Maybe you're in the middle of a meeting, stuck in traffic, or simply don't want to interrupt what you're doing. So you ignore the urge. It feels like no big deal at the time, but here's the hidden cost: every delay puts extra strain on both your bladder and your prostate. Think about it this way: your bladder is a muscular sac designed to expand and contract. When it fills up, pressure signals your brain that it's time to release. But when you hold it in, you're stretching those muscles beyond their comfort zone. Over time, this weakens the bladder wall, making it less efficient at emptying. And here's where the prostate comes in. An enlarged prostate already narrows the urethra, so if the bladder isn't contracting well, urine sits longer, creating even more pressure and irritation. This isn't just theory. In Tokyo, Japan 2012, a study of older adults found that men who habitually delayed urination had significantly higher rates of urinary retention infections and worsening lower urinary tract symptoms. The simple act of waiting too long can set off a domino effect, straining the bladder, overworking the prostate, and ultimately making bathroom visits more urgent and more frequent. So what's the better path? It's about respecting the body's signals. When you feel the urge, respond within a reasonable time. Don't make your bladder hold back for hours. And if you find yourself in situations where a bathroom isn't always available, such as long drives, plan ahead by identifying rest stops or pacing your fluid intake so you aren't forced to hold it in. Think of your bladder like a trusted partner. When it speaks up, listen. Giving it relief at the right time reduces pressure on the entire system and keeps your prostate from carrying unnecessary stress. Now, as important as this is, it only scratches the surface. Because habit number 5 takes the damage further, involving something many men know is harmful but often underestimate in relation to prostate health. And before we move on, if you're finding these insights helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way, you'll never miss the next tip that could protect your health and restore your nights. Habit number 5, smoking. Habit number 5 is one that millions of men already know is dangerous, but few realize how deeply it affects the prostate. Every puff of tobacco smoke contains thousands of chemicals, including nicotine, tar, and heavy metals. These toxins don't just harm the lungs or heart, they circulate through the bloodstream and reach every organ, including the prostate. Here's the biology behind it. Smoking damages the delicate lining of blood vessels, restricting circulation. Reduced blood flow means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reach prostate tissue, which slows healing and encourages chronic inflammation. On top of that, toxins in cigarette smoke create oxidative stress, tiny chemical reactions that damage DNA inside prostate cells. Over years, this increases the risk of both prostate enlargement, and more seriously, prostate cancer. The link has been documented clearly in research. In Stockholm, Sweden 2006, a large population-based study found that male smokers were significantly more likely to report severe urinary symptoms linked to prostate enlargement compared to non-smokers. Even more striking, heavy smokers had nearly double the risk of aggressive prostate disease. These findings highlight that smoking doesn't just shorten life expectancy, it directly worsens prostate health. It's also important to understand that the risk isn't limited to the smoker. Exposure to secondhand smoke has been shown to trigger similar patterns of irritation and inflammation. That means the habit doesn't only affect you, it creates an environment that can impact family members too. The encouraging part is this: when men quit smoking, circulation improves within weeks, and inflammation begins to subside. Over time, prostate tissue benefits from this renewed oxygen supply and lower toxin burden. So the sooner the toxins stop flowing through your body, the better chance your prostate has to stabilize. But smoking isn't the only hidden trap. Habit number 4 is one of the most common mistakes men make, not because of what they do, but because of what they don't do. It's about avoiding checkups, and the cost of this neglect can be far greater than you think. Habit number 4, skipping checkups. Habit number 4 is one that's driven more by fear and denial than by action, skipping regular checkups. Many men tell themselves, "I feel fine, so why see the doctor?" Others quietly admit they'd rather not know if something is wrong. But here's the reality: waiting until symptoms are unbearable is one of the costliest mistakes you can make for your prostate. Here's why this matters. The prostate is slow to show its problems. Enlargement happens gradually, and the early warning signs, like a weak stream or waking up one extra time at night, are easy to dismiss. But while you're ignoring those signals, the gland continues to grow and press harder on the urinary tract. By the time discomfort becomes severe, treatment options are usually more complicated, and recovery can take longer. The value of early detection is backed by strong data. In Toronto, Canada 2010, researchers studied thousands of men over 60 and found that those who attended annual urological checkups reported significantly fewer emergency visits for urinary retention compared to those who avoided routine care. In other words, catching changes early doesn't just prevent worry, it prevents crises. Regular checkups typically involve a simple physical exam, a PSA blood test, and sometimes an ultrasound. These are quick non-invasive tools that provide a snapshot of your prostate health. For most men, it's less than an hour once a year. That 1 hour could be the difference between living comfortably, or struggling through sleepless nights and urgent trips to the bathroom. So don't think of checkups as an inconvenience, see them as an investment. They give you information, and information gives you power. Power to act early, to make changes, and to keep control of your health. But even with checkups, there's another habit that can quietly undo your progress. Habit number 3 hides in your diet, and it's far more common than most men realize. It involves the type of protein on your plate, and its effects on the prostate are more serious than just adding a few extra pounds. Habit number 3, too much red and processed meat. Habit number 3 sits right at the dinner table: too much red and processed meat. Steaks, burgers, sausages, hot dogs. For many men, these foods have been staples for decades. But when consumed in excess, they create an environment in the body that encourages prostate growth and worsens urinary symptoms. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Red meats are high in saturated fats, which alter hormone levels, tipping the balance between testosterone and estrogen. This hormonal shift stimulates prostate tissue to grow faster. Processed meats add another layer of risk, because they often contain preservatives such as nitrates, which trigger chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, 2 processes that weaken cells and make the prostate more vulnerable. If you're finding value in this breakdown, don't forget to like this video. It helps more men get access to life-changing health advice. The connection between diet and prostate health isn't guesswork, it's proven. In Chicago, USA 2018, a large nutrition study tracked men over 60 and found that those who consumed the highest levels of red and processed meats had a 32% greater chance of reporting severe urinary symptoms compared to men who favored diets rich in fish, legumes, and vegetables. The conclusion was clear: food choices directly influence the prostate's condition. So what can you do? The answer isn't total elimination, it's moderation and substitution. Keep red meat as an occasional indulgence, not a daily habit. Replace processed meats with healthier proteins like grilled chicken, salmon, beans, or lentils. Even making the switch 2 or 3 days a week gives your body, and your prostate, more room to heal and function properly. Think of your diet as a message to your body. Every meal tells your prostate either to stay calm or to grow restless. Choosing whole unprocessed foods is a direct signal that you're protecting your health. And while diet plays a major role, there's another hidden factor that carries even more weight, literally. Habit number 2 isn't about what you eat, but what you carry. And this one can silently disrupt your hormones and magnify every symptom you've been struggling with. Habit number 2, belly fat and obesity. Habit number 2 is one that millions of men overlook because they see it as simply an issue of appearance: belly fat. That stubborn weight around the midsection isn't just a cosmetic concern, it's an active organ that disrupts hormones and fuels prostate growth. Here's what makes belly fat so dangerous. Unlike fat stored elsewhere in the body, abdominal fat is metabolically active. It releases inflammatory chemicals and alters hormonal balance by converting testosterone into estrogen. This shift reduces protective testosterone levels and raises estrogen, creating an environment where prostate cells grow faster and symptoms of enlargement intensify. The problem doesn't stop there. Excess weight, particularly around the waist, also leads to insulin resistance. This means your body struggles to manage blood sugar effectively, which further increases systemic inflammation. Inflammation, once again, is one of the strongest drivers of prostate enlargement and urinary dysfunction. This link has been documented globally. In London, UK 2016, researchers analyzed data from thousands of men across Europe and found that abdominal obesity was strongly associated with a higher risk of moderate to severe lower urinary tract symptoms. Men with larger waistlines consistently reported more frequent nighttime urination, weaker flow, and increased urgency compared to their leaner peers. The encouraging news is that even modest changes make a difference. Losing just 5 to 10 pounds of belly fat can improve hormone balance and reduce inflammatory markers. This doesn't require extreme dieting, it comes from consistent choices, smaller portion sizes, more vegetables and lean proteins, fewer refined carbs, and daily movement such as walking or light resistance exercise. Think of belly fat not as passive storage, but as an active disruptor. By reducing it, you're not just changing your appearance, you're directly calming the signals that push your prostate to enlarge. But if belly fat silently fuels prostate growth, the number one habit magnifies everything. It's not about food or weight, it's about the mind. Habit number 1 is the most overlooked, yet the most destructive force acting on the prostate every single day. Habit number 1, chronic stress. Habit number 1 is the most silent and destructive force acting on your prostate, chronic stress. Unlike the other habits you can see or measure, stress hides in plain sight. It builds quietly, day after day, until it begins to rewire your body's chemistry in ways that directly fuel prostate enlargement. Here's the biology of it. When you're under constant stress, whether it's financial pressure, family responsibilities, or simply the daily weight of aging, your body floods with cortisol, the main stress hormone. Cortisol was designed to help you survive short bursts of danger. But when it stays elevated for weeks, months, or even years, it triggers a cascade of damage. Chronic cortisol increases inflammation throughout the body, including in the prostate. It disrupts hormone balance by lowering protective testosterone and raising estrogen. It also weakens the immune system, leaving tissues more vulnerable to irritation and overgrowth. In simple terms, stress acts like a hidden fertilizer, feeding the exact conditions that make your prostate grow larger and your symptoms more intense. This isn't speculation. In Boston, USA 2013, researchers studied men with elevated stress markers and found that they reported significantly more severe lower urinary tract symptoms compared to men with lower stress levels, even when their prostate size was similar. The conclusion was clear: stress doesn't just affect the mind, it magnifies how badly the prostate behaves. So what's the solution? You can't erase stress from life, but you can manage it. Practices like deep breathing, mindfulness, or gentle yoga reduce cortisol levels within minutes. Regular physical activity, especially walking outdoors, lowers stress hormones while improving circulation to the prostate. Even small steps, such as creating a consistent sleep routine or carving out time for hobbies, help reset the body's chemistry in your favor. Think of it this way: managing stress isn't just about peace of mind. It's about protecting your prostate, restoring hormonal balance, and giving your body the chance to function as it should. Now you know the 10 worst habits that silently drive prostate growth, everything from dehydration and sitting too long, to poor diet, belly fat, and chronic stress. Each of them is manageable, and every small change you make builds a stronger foundation for your health after 60. If you found this video valuable, make sure you like, share, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next life-changing tip. And of course, subscribe to the channel, because your health deserves consistent science-backed guidance that keeps you strong at every age.